We need to understand the real and present danger that potentially a resurgent Russia poses, the dynamic that was started with the invasion of Crimea in 2014, the ramp-up of military spending by Russia, the build-up of military forces, particularly the spotlight it throws on the Baltic states, which of course have significant Russian-speaking minorities, and the reality of the importance of building up our deterrent capability as a NATO alliance to protect and defend the alliance.
For the UK deploying a group of Navy destroyers to follow Russian warships off the Scottish coast today. It includes the HMS Duncan going after the ships, which could pass within a mile of England. It comes amid tension in Syria as Russia continues to attack Aleppo and the EU fails to approve sanctions against the Kremlin. Some questioning whether a war with Russia could actually be on the horizon. Katie McFarland is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration, a Fox News national security analyst, and serves on Donald Trump's National Security Advisory Committee. You know, if we weren't in the campaign season, KT, this would probably be the lead story of the day.
Sure.
What is Russia doing?
Oh, I think Russia's got three motives here. They're taking all of their ships in the north, in the Baltics, and they're streaming past Great Britain, and they're on their way to Syria, off the Syrian coast. What are they about to do? They're about to finish the job. They're about to attack Aleppo, they're about to level Aleppo, and they're going to cement Assad in power. And by doing that, they think they're going to do three things. One, they're going to take over the Middle East again. They're going to be the major outside power in the Middle East. Number two, they're trying to show how weak NATO is. I mean, NATO won't even be, the European Union won't even put sanctions on them for what they're about to do, the genocide they're about to commit. And then number three, they're showing the world we're back. Russia's a superpower again. I, Vladimir Putin, have rebuilt Mother Russia, and I'm now reclaiming Russia's place as a world superpower.
Timing is everything, though.
Yeah.
Do you think the elections have anything to do with
Sure.
Russia making these moves? What is it?
And here's why. Because, Jana, Putin is assuming that Obama is a weak, lame duck president. He doesn't want to, no drama. Obama doesn't want an incident before he leaves office. And so he's counting on the fact that the United States is not going to do anything. He's counting on the fact that the Europeans are preoccupied by the great Muslim migration. And so he's going to grab while the grabbing is good.
Why isn't the EU putting sanctions on Russia? It looked like they were going to vote to sanction, through NATO, sanction Russia. But then they hesitated. Why?
Well, they're preoccupied. I mean, they're preoccupied with an economic crisis at home. They're preoccupied by the Muslim migration throughout Europe. And they're preoccupied by Brexit. And the French saying maybe France will be next to pull out of the European Union. Because sanctions cost. Not only do they impose great hardship on Russia because Russia has the sanctions imposed on them, but they also are a cost to the people who impose the sanctions. It cuts off trade. It makes it, they pay an economic penalty. So the European Union, the countries already struggling with the crises that they have on their own doorstep, don't want another problem. And it's easier for them to just look the other way. And the problem with the European Union is that they need everybody to go along with it, and not everybody's going to go along with it, no matter what we try to do.
Some of our viewers might have seen some headlines over the weekend where they seem to suggest that we were on the precipice of war with Russia, whether cyber war or actual full-out war. And how do you see those headlines, Katie? What should our viewers consider when they see something as scary as that?
Well, it is scary, and I think we are already at war with Russia. We're at cyber war with Russia. If it is true that Russia's been trying to influence and sort of jigger up and scramble our elections, then that's an act of war. It's an act of cyber war. What are we doing in response? I'm not quite sure we're doing anything in response.
What should we be doing?
Well, here's what we could do. We could, even if we had to do unilateral sanctions, we could impose economic sanctions. A next step up would be we control the world banking system. In other words, if you want to buy or trade anything in the world economy, you have to go through an American bank and in American dollars. We could shut Russia out of that.
Okay, but let me give you an example. These are reports, so I'm hedging that for our viewers. But there were reports out of England this week that the English bank shut down Russian television from being able to operate inside England. So England does this, and then suddenly the Russian warships are going right along their coast.
Sure.
And one wonders if those things are related. And if we did something to Russia, are we going to start seeing Russian ships off our coast? And what are we prepared to do?
Well, I think you're bringing up a really good point, because you can't make a threat unless you're expecting to deliver on the threat. In other words, don't draw a red line if you're going to walk away from the red line. Be very careful about what you're going to do and what you're prepared to do. So far, we've shown Russia that we're not prepared to do much, whether Russia goes into Crimea, whether Russia in 2008 went into Georgia, whether Russia now is in the Middle East, whether Russia is trying to rub everybody's nose in their new power status. So we've got to be really sure that whatever we do, we're willing to carry out. I think the ultimate weapon against Russia is to say privately to them, you want to do this to us, you want to have a cyber war with America, we know how to respond to that, which is we'll tear down your cyber walls, because the one thing Putin fears more than anything is that his own population rises up against him, like the Ukrainians did against Yanukovych, who was the president of Ukraine. So we have an ultimate weapon against him. The problem is, Jenna, so far, I mean, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, John Kerry's strategy has been to humiliate and scold Putin in public, and then in private be kind of a puppy dog. I think it's far better to do the opposite. Give him respect in public, but then in private, turn the screws.
We'll see what happens next. KT, thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.